All right, so today we're going to talk about factoring without using tiles, but this first page I want you to just review again how we use tiles. Most importantly, I want you to make sure you understand when to use your zero pairs and when not to. So the first question, x squared minus 5x plus 6, the first question is, do I need to add zero pairs? And the answer here is no. And the reason that I know that I do not need zero pairs is because the last term, the ones term, is a positive number. So if the last term is positive, that means we do not need zero pairs. Oops, I have an extra little s in there. If the last term is positive, we don't need zero pairs. Now looking over to the question to the right, 3x squared minus 5x minus 2, am I going to need zero pairs there? And the answer there is yes. And the reason is because the last term is negative. So the last term here is kind of giving us some clues on what to do. All right, so now let's go ahead and look. So in this question over here to the left, x squared plus 5x minus 5x plus 6, we don't need zero pairs. So let's just we know we have an x squared, so I know I'm going to have to put this x squared here. And then I've got negative 5x's. Well, I can't add zero pairs here, so I'm going to have a negative x on both sides of the x squared term. And when I do that, that creates space for one ones tile. So now I have to add 3 more somewhere. If I put 1 here, that creates space for 1 more. And if I put another one here, that creates space for 1 more, right? So right now I've got 4. So if I want 5, I could try to put 1 in the same spot, but that only would leave me space for 1 more ones tile. And I need 6 one tiles. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this negative x over to, on the other side of the x squared, and that creates space for 3 more. And so now I'm going to figure out what my factors are by looking at the dimensions. So at the top here, I'm going to put an x because the length of this piece right here is x, and then the length of these two pieces are 1. So little ones tiles fit here. These would be negative ones tiles. They're negative because they're touching the negative x's. And now over here, this length is another x, and it's positive because it's touching a positive x squared. And then I have space here for 3 little negative ones. And so there are my factors. My factors are x minus 2 and x minus 3. And then this next question is asking, how could you check to see if you are correct? Well, we would use FOIL to see if we were correct. We would go through and we would multiply the first terms, the outer terms, the inner terms, and the last terms to see if I would result in x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay? Oh. Now let's go ahead and go to the next one. The next one, I've got 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. Now the 3x squareds, luckily, because it's odd, the 3x squareds, they're all going to have to be right next to each other. Because if I try to put an x squared up here at the top here, then it's not going to work out for us because I'll have space for another x squared. So I need to put the other x squared here. Now you could put the x squareds either along here or you could put them along here. It doesn't matter. But again, we can't put 3 here because we would have to put another x squared here to create that rectangle. So these all have to create rectangles. All right, so now we have negative 5x's, and these negative 5x's, they can't be split up because we know we have to add zero pairs because this last term is negative. So let's just think about this for a second. If I were to put all 5 of my x's here, I would have no space for my 2 ones. So those 5 negative x's, they have to go here. And that's going to make the problem really simple because as soon as I put all 5 of them there, you're going to see how many zero pairs need to get added. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 have to go here because you have to surround the x squareds completely with your x's. And so I have 5 that I have to get in here. And now if you look, I have space for one more. The only way to get one more on there is to add a 0 pair. So here's a negative, and then over here I'm going to put the positive. And that positive x is then going to create space for my two negative 1s. And so now I can get my factors. On the bottom I'm going to put 3 x's and a positive 1. And then on the side, I'm going to have room for 1x and 2 negative 1s. And so my factors are going to be 3x plus 1 times x minus 2. And now down here, it's actually saying, now check to see if you're correct. So we're going to go use FOIL, and we're going to see if we're correct. So I'm going to do 3x times x, and that gives me 3x squared. And I'm going to do 3x times negative 2 is going to give me negative 6x. Then I'm going to get 1 times x is going to give me positive x. And then 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. And then now if you look at those middle terms, negative 6 plus x, that's going to give me negative 5x. So I know that I have 3x squared minus 5x minus 2, which is what I was looking for up here. Now try the next two problems completely on your own and then tune back into the video. No, really, try them on your own before you tune back into the video. Okay, so here is the answer. Notice in this one, you did not have to add 0 pairs because the last term is positive. And notice when you put these two down, you have to put 2 tiles here, and then you have to put 1 there to get just that ones tile in there. Notice I used FOIL here to double check. It does not matter what order your factors go in, as long as you have 2x plus 1 is one of your factors and x plus 1 is one of your factors. Also, the picture could be more elongated this way instead of this way. Same with this one. This one could be going this way, but the thing that's important is you have your factors are x plus 4 and x minus 1. You had to add 0 pairs here, and so we know that because the last term was negative. And then if you look, when you do your 0 pairs, like you have to put all the positives together on one side of the x squared and all your negatives together on the other side of your x squared. So I just went ahead and put 3 of these right next to each other, and I knew I had to add 1 0 pair to fit one row of 1s in there, and then it perfectly fit negative 4 1s. All right, let's look at the next page. All right, now using tiles isn't the most ideal way to factor, but it's a good way to get us started. Like imagine if I had this problem right here, 8x squared plus 18x plus 9. In order, if I were to use tiles, I would have to have 8 of these and 9 of these and then 18 x's. Like it's going to get really big, really confusing, and so we have to have another way to do it. So let's just think about if there are 8 big blue squares that we have to do, what are my options for how they can be laid out? Keeping in mind that they have to create a rectangle or a square. So one way to do it is I could do 4 by 2, right? I could do 4 of them by 2 of them. Or I could do 8 by 1. Those are the only ways that I could lay out 8x squareds to create a rectangle out of those. And now let's look at my 1s tiles. If I have 9 little 1s tiles, then I have only 2 ways again here I could lay those out, because those also make a rectangle in the opposite corner as the x squareds. So one way to do that is I can do it 3 by 3, or I can do it 9 by 1. And that's the only way you can create a rectangle out of the number 9. So now, how does this translate into factoring without tiles? Well, think about if I have this polynomial here and I am trying to factor. Think about what is going to be going in these first spots right here. I'm going to go ahead and put circles there. So like, what could I put here and here? And this, if you think about it, these are the first 2 things that get multiplied together in FOIL, right? And it's got to give me 8x squared. So these 2 right here have to multiply to give me 8x squared. So the only things I could put there is I can put an 8x and an x, or I could put 4x and 2x. Those are my only options, because 8x times x is 8x squared, and 4x times 2x is also 8x squared. So now the last the other thing to look at is the last term. So I'm going to go ahead and put boxes here. What goes here? Well, whatever goes here has to give us 9, right? So whatever goes here and here has to give us 9 because those are our last terms. So just keep in mind, this is F, first term in FOIL. This is L, the last terms in FOIL. So the only things that could go there are 9 and 1 or 3 and 3, right? Because those are the only ways we can multiply to get 9. Now, the thing that makes factoring difficult is the middle term. And just a reminder, the middle term is the outers and the inners being multiplied together, okay? So now there's lots of different ways we can arrange these. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So let's go ahead and look. There are actually 6 different ways we could try to factor 8x squared plus 18x plus 9, but only one of them works. So let's just start with the first thing I can try, right? So the first thing I'm going to try to do is, all right, how can I break up 8x squared? And we just got finished saying that one possibility is 8x times x. And then to put this then we're going to look at the 9. One way to break up the 9 is to do 3 times 3, right? So right now we know if we multiply the first terms, 8x times x, we get 8x squared, and 3 times 3 is going to give us 9. Let's go ahead and it's all plus signs in here. So this is a possibility. That's one possibility. Another possibility would be, okay, well, let's say I stick with 8x and x, and the other way to do it is 9 times 1, right? So I could have 8x plus 9 and x plus 1, right? You agree that this would give me 8x squared at the beginning and 9 at the end. Well, then the other way I could do it is 8x and x with 1 here and 9 here, right? So now let's go through. We already know, like we don't have to check our first terms and our last terms because we know that 8x times x is 8x squared and 3 times 3 is 9. And that's true in all of these cases. But what we need to do is we need to figure out, does the middle give me 18x? So what we do is we check the inners by multiplying, right? So 3 times x is 3x. Then we check the outers by multiplying, and 8x times 3 is 24x. And then what do we do with those two terms in the middle? We combine them, right? Because they're like terms, and 24x and 3x gives me 27x. It doesn't give me 18. So this one's not going to work. So let's try the next one. Let's check our inners, which gives me 9x. Let's check our outers, which gives me 8x. Combine those, that gives me 17x, not 18. So it's not that one, right? So let's try this. Let's try the next one. 1x is just going to give me an x. 8 times 9 gives me 72x. That's not going to work, right? Because that's going to give me 73x. So this one's not going to work. All right? So what I've just done is I've tried all the combinations with 8x and x and 9 and with all the ways to get 9. So my other option is, well, let's, instead of 8x and x, let's try 4x and 2x. So let's see. We could try 4x and 2x with 3 times 3 again. Or I could try 4x and 2x with 9 and 1. Or I could try 4x and 2x with the 1 in with the 4x and the 9 in with the 2x. So now let's check our inners and our outers, right? So here I have 6x. Here I have 12x. Now if I combine 6x and 12x, oh yay, that gives me 18x. So this is the right answer. So the factors of this that give me 8x squared plus 18x plus 9 are 4x plus 3 and 2x plus 3. And just to be sure, I'm just going to check the other ones just to make sure. So this has got 18x and 4x. When I combine those together, that gives me 22x. So again, doesn't work. This one gives me 2x. I'm multiplying my outers and inners. And then 36x, right? And that doesn't give me 18. That gives me 38x, right? So the only possibility that worked is this one right here, okay? So factoring can get kind of trying, but as long as you break up your first terms and your last terms, and then check your middle term, you're always checking your middle term by multiplying your outers and your inners together. So let's answer this next question. When factoring algebraically, you must always check your middle terms by multiplying the outers and inners and combining the coefficients. And we're just seeing if we get that middle term. So let's try some. All right, so I'm going to go through and do some of these problems and kind of show you how I work through problems that I might have when I'm doing it. You are not always going to get the right answer on the first try, the second try, or even the third or fourth try. And some problems are going to be harder than others, okay? So the way that you start all of these problems is you start by thinking to yourself, okay, what are some ways I can get the first term, and what are some ways I can get the last term? Okay, so let's just take factors of 6x squared. We're always going to break up the x squared into x times x because our middle term will always have an x on it, right? And then the last term most likely is always going to be a constant. If it does have a variable on it, you're going to split that variable up as well. So let's just go over here. Factors of 6x squared. What are all of our ways? Well, we can do 3x times 2x. Those can go together. We can do 6x. And we can do x. The first term, we're never going to break those up into negatives. So no negative times a negative with the first term, okay? However, on the last term, we could break up the last term into 15 times 1 or 5 and 3. But then also with the last term, we can do negatives times negatives. So we're going to do negative 15 times negative 1, or we can do negative 5 times negative 3. Okay? So just keep that in mind. I want you to never break up the first term into two negatives. You're always going to just stick with the first term being positive. It's just going to make your life easier. However, the last term might sometimes have to be broken up into negatives. Okay? All right, so now, the way I would start this problem is I would start with two sets of parentheses. Now the other thing is I'm going to have to do some erasing, most likely, because I might not get it on the first try. So if you are not using a pencil to do this, you should be doing these on a separate piece of paper and then putting your final answer on your paper. If you have a pencil, you are going to be doing probably lots of erasing at the beginning, okay? So let's just go ahead and we're taking a look at just the 6x squared. One way to break up 6x squared is to put 3x times 2x here. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. I'm going to put 3x here and 2x here. Okay? And now let's just go ahead and take a look at the last term. So you always look at the first term and then you look at the last term, and we're breaking up 15. Well, let's try 15 and 1, and let's just see what happens. So I've got 15 and 1. I'm going to put plus signs in here. The reason I'm putting two plus signs is because every single part of this problem is positive. And so what we have to do is now we're going to check our inners. So we're going to check inners. This gives me 30x. Outers, multiplied, that gives me 3x. When I combine that, does that give me 19x? No, it doesn't. So what I have to do is I have to erase. Okay, so I'm going to stick with the 3x and the 2x because I just have a good feeling about 3x and 2x. So let's put the 3x and the 2x back in here. And now one thing I can try to do is I can try to change my order, right? I had 15 in the first set of parentheses. Well, let's think. If I put 15 here and 1 here, let's check it. Well, this is going to give me 6x, and then that's going to give me 45x. So that's not going to work. So let's erase that. And one thing I can do is I can throw out now the 15 and the 1, and let's try 5 and 3. So let's go ahead and put the 5 here and the 3 here. So I'm going to go ahead and put pluses in here. And now let's check my inners and my outers. So here I've got 10x, and here I've got 9x. I have it. When I combine that, that gives me 19x. So this is my answer. Okay, it's great to keep your checks there and then circle your answer once you have it. Now, if that didn't work, then I would try to switch my 5 and my 3 and try it again. And if that didn't work, then I would throw out the 3x and the 2x, and I would try the 6x and the x. Let's try the next one. So the next one, again, I'm going to start by putting my two sets of parentheses, right? And I'm going to just start by breaking it up. Let's go ahead and try 3x and 2x again. So I've got 3x and 2x. So that's how I get these. 3x times 2x gives me 6x. So now the last terms, whatever I put here and here, has to multiply to give me 15, right? Because this is first, this is last, and then negative 47 is my inners and my outers. Now let's take a look at that. Because the middle term, negative 47, is negative, that's when I know I'm going to have a negative and a negative in here, because I'm going to have to combine two negatives to get negative 47, right? And because 47 is kind of big, I'm going to stick with trying to do 15 and 1. So let's go ahead and let's say I put 15 here and 1 here, and let's check my inners. This is going to give me negative 30x when I multiply. My outers are going to give me negative 3x. Well, when I put those together, that gives me negative 33, so it's not quite big enough. So let's think, if I switch the 15 and the 3, whoopsie, wrong tool, trying to erase, if I switch the 15 and the 1, sorry, that might help me. So now if you think about it, if I put the 15 in the other set of parentheses, I put the 15 here, that's going to get multiplied by the 3x, right? And if I put the 1 here, that's going to get multiplied by the 2x. So here, negative 1 times 2x gives me negative 2x. And 3x times negative 15 gives me negative 45x. Combine those, that gives me negative 47x. And so the correct answer is this one right here. Go ahead and stop the video and try C on your own. Just give it a try and give it like 1 or 2 or 3 minutes. And if you don't have it in 2 or 3 minutes, just tune back to the video. So when I go to do this one, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stay away from 3x and 2x this time because I did it twice, right? So if you look, in all of these, start with 6x and end in 15, so that's why we're all using 3x and 2x and 6x and x and all of that, okay? So now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try 6x and x, right? That times that gives me the 6x squared. Whatever goes in the last spaces of your parentheses has to give me 15. I'm trying to get negative 91 in the middle, so my signs in here, they have to both be minuses, right? Because a negative times a negative is a positive, but a negative plus a negative is a negative, and that you're adding to get the inside part. So again, I'm trying to get negative 91, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the 15 here over to the right, because 15 times 6 is going to give me a pretty big number. And then here I'm going to put the 1. In fact, 15 times 6 is 90. So negative 15 times 6, this is going to give me negative 90x. And then this is going to give me negative 1x. And if you combine those middle terms, you get that middle term of negative 91x. So this right here are your factors. Okay, let's take a look at the next column. Again, look at everything in the second column. They all start with 6x squared, and they all end with not 15 this time, they all end with negative 15. And the last term, just like with tiles, the last term is important. The last term is going to tell us what our signs are going to be, right? So again, we're always going to break up the first term. The first term should always be positive. If not, we'll talk about what to do about that later. But right now, the first term is always going to be positive. Okay, so I'm going to have 6x and x are my factors of 6x squared, and I'm going to have 3x and 2x are my factors of the other factors of 6x squared. So now for negative 15, we're multiplying to get negative 15. So I have to either use negative 5 and positive 3, or I could use positive 5 and negative 3, or I could use 1 and negative 15, or I could use negative 1 and positive 15. So those are all my factors of negative 15 that go together. So again, take a look at the first set of parentheses, or the first term. So I'm going to put my two sets of parentheses. That's how I want you to start every problem. Just write two sets of parentheses. And then we're going to look at the first term. 6x squared. Whatever I put here and here has to multiply to give me 6x squared. So I'm going to try 6x and x here. Okay? Now, whatever I put here and here has to multiply to give me negative 15. So let's go ahead and try negative 5 and 3. So I have negative 5 and positive 3. Okay, so now I'm going to have multiply that, that gives me negative 5x. And multiply those, that gives me 18x. Now keep in mind here, your signs are different. So negative 5x and 18x, when you combine those, it's kind of like you're finding the difference. That is definitely not going to give me negative 89x, right? It's going to give me a much smaller number, right? So one thing I could do is I could go ahead and I could erase the 5 and the 3 and just switch them real fast and just see if that's going to work. So if I put the 3 here and the 5 here, I already know that that's not going to work, right? Because that's not going to get me up to, I'm trying to get to negative 89, right? So this outer part now is going to give me 30x and negative 3x. That's definitely not going to give me negative 89. So let's try 15 and 1. I think 15 and 1 is going to be pretty helpful here. Okay, so let's go ahead. I keep hitting the wrong key. Let's go ahead and erase these. I'm going to leave the 6x and the x there for now. And if 15 and 1 doesn't work with 6x and x, then I'm going to throw in the 3x and the 2x. So let's go ahead. If I put the 15 here, the reason I'm putting the 15 here is because the 15 is going to get multiplied by the 6x, right? That's going to give me a big number, right? It's probably going to give me 90x, right? So let's say I make that positive 15 and I make that negative 1. Well, what I'm going to have here is negative 1x and positive 90x. Now, the cool thing about what I just did is I now have not negative 89, I have 89x. I have the right number, but I have the wrong sign, which is great news because all that means is I have to just switch my signs. So the numbers are in the right spot, but I just have to switch my signs. So when I do that, this now is going to be negative and positive, right? So now this inner part is going to be positive 1x. The outer part is going to be negative 90x. When I combine them, I now have negative 89x. So I now have it. There we go. If you think you're getting this, go ahead and stop the video and try the next two on your own and then just tune back in to make sure you did them right. If you're still a little confused, stick with me and I will take you through the next one. So the next one, 6x squared minus x minus 15. I'm looking at my middle term right now, and my middle term is negative x, which means that I'm going to probably stick with my lower numbers, my smaller numbers. I'm not going to do the 6x and the 15. I'm going to try 3x and 2x to start with. So, and really, it just takes practice and experience to really kind of know what's best to start with. So really, it is just trial and error right now. So we're going to put, I'm going to try 3x times 2x, right? So whatever goes in the first spots have to multiply to give me 6x squared. So right now it does. And then I'm going to try 5 and 3. So let's say I put negative 3 and positive 5. I have to have signs that are different because I'm trying to get negative 15. That has to, whatever I put in the last spots have to multiply to give me negative 15, and it does. So now let's check my inners. My inners give me negative 6x. My outers give me 15x. And so when I combine negative 6x and 15x, that does not give me negative 1. So I'm going to erase, and I'm going to just switch where my 5 and my 3 go and just try that, right? Before I throw out the 5 and 3 as a possibility, let's just switch the 5 and the 3. So let's say I put the 5 in the first set of parentheses and the 3 in the second set of parentheses. And now let's do my inners. That gives me negative 10x. And let's do my outers. That gives me 9x. I got it. Negative 10x plus 9x is negative 1x, which is just negative x. So there are my factors right there. All right, now really stop the video and just take 2 or 3 minutes to try letter F. And if you don't get it, then just come back. All right, so right when I started the top section, I told you that some problems are going to be easier than others. These next set of problems are going to be much easier. And the reason they're going to be much easier is because the first term and the last term do not have very many factors. So the last one they had so many possibilities that it took us a while. This section's not going to take very long at all. So the only way, if you look at the first term and the last term in all of these, the first term in the first column, they all have x squared. So the only way we can break up x is x times x. We're not going to break it up into x squared times 1 because the middle term has an x on it. And then 6, the only way to break up 6 is, well, we've got 3 and 2. We've got 6 and 1, and then we also can do -3 and -2, or -6 and -1. All right? So now let's go ahead. This one's a lot easier, right? So if I go ahead and I take this first one, I only have one choice for the first part, x times x, right? Now, because it's positive, if everything in the whole problem is positive, your signs in here are going to be plus plus. And already in my head, I know it's 3 and 2. The reason I know it's 3 and 2 is because 3 plus 2 is 5, right? So 3x, if I look at my inners, 3x, and outers is 2x. 3x and 2x gives me 5x. So that one, super easy. We can totally just get it, right? So I'm going to skip over to E for just a moment, right? So for E, notice E, F, and G, they all start with x squared. So my factors of x squared are just x and x, but then they all end in -6. So because the last term is negative, the only way to multiply to get a negative is our signs have to be different, right? So I've got, my options are -3 with +2. I could do +3 with -2. I could do 6 with -1, or I could do -6 with +1. So let's just go ahead and try it. The problem's going to be easier because as soon as I start it, I can do x times x, and then let's just go ahead and try. I'm trying to get -1 in the middle, so let's just try -3 and +2, and I already know that I have it because this gives me -3x and +2x, and -3x and 2x gives me -1. And so if I'd switched my signs at all, then it doesn't matter. Then I still would have gotten it. So again, it doesn't matter as well like what order your factors go in, as long as you have x minus 3 as one of your factors and x plus 2 as another one of your factors. So now that you've seen 2 of them, go ahead and try the next 6 problems completely on your own, and then come back and check to see if your answers are right. So here are the answers. So I just want to take a look. It doesn't matter, again, I'll say it again, it doesn't matter if you have x plus 1 times x plus 6 here, or if you have x plus 6 times x plus 1. It doesn't matter what order the factors are in, as long as they match my factors, okay? The other thing I want to point out is these first 2, everything was positive. That's important to notice because look, all of your signs are here positive. There's no reason to put a negative sign anywhere in this problem. However, here, because this middle term is negative, you had to have a negative times a negative to get +6, but a negative plus a negative to give you -5. So another thing to keep in mind, you're always adding to get the middle term, well, you're multiplying and then adding, and then you're always multiplying to get the first term and the last term. So here again, both of your signs here were both negative because that middle term was negative and the last term was positive. All right, here, notice all of our signs are different inside here. The reason is because I've got this -6 at the end. So that's the only, my signs have to be different because that's the only way I'm going to get -6. And then just make sure that here you have x plus 3 and x minus 2. The factors have to match mine. You could have written x minus 2 times x plus 3, but the factors have to match, right? And then here you go. Same with G and H. All right, now I want you to take a look at all of the problems that you see that we've done on this paper, right? So if you look, and I want you to just think about the signs of your factors, right? So I want you to think about when the last term is negative, what does that tell you about the signs of your factors? So if you look, all of the problems on the right-hand side of the paper, they all had negative at the end. -15, for all 3 of for the ones on the right, and then -6. And if you look at all of your factors, all of your signs were different. You had a positive and a negative. So that's really important to recognize. So what that means is that the signs will be different. And that's a hard and fast rule, right? It's the only way you can get a negative last term is if you're multiplying a negative times a positive. So that means that your factors are going to be plus minus, or they're going to be minus plus. All right, And now let's look what happens if the last term is positive. Every problem in the first the first column, all of those have positive 15 and positive 6. And what that means is that your signs will be the same. That's so important. Another hard and fast rule. The signs of your factors will be the same. And if you think about it, it's because you're multiplying to get that last term. So if I do a positive times a positive, that will always result in a positive last term. And if I have two factors that are negative, negative, that's going to always result in a positive. So then when you know the signs are going to be the same, it's the middle term that determines if they're both positive or they're both negative. All right. Go ahead and try the next 6 problems completely on your own and just see how you do. All right, I am just going to give you the answers to these problems, but I do want you to try them on your own. But before you do that, let's take a look at C. Notice there's only 2 terms here. There's not a middle term. There's not an X term, right? Like this one has an X term, this one has an X term, this one has an X term. These two do not. What that means is that your middle term is 0. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to break this into something so that your middle term completely cancels out. Same with this. Try to break this up so that your middle term completely cancels out. And then hopefully you start to notice something. These two are actually pretty simple once you notice it. All right? So if you haven't stopped the video, stop the video, try the problems, and then tune back in for the answer. And here are the answers. Notice that letter B, because both of these factors were exactly the same, you could shorten it and write it like this, 2x minus 3 squared. This is the square of a difference, and that's a cool thing to note. The first term and the last term are perfect squares, so that's helpful to know that you might break it up into two of the same thing. And now, another thing, C and E, notice these break into a difference of squares. When that middle term cancels out completely, the only way to do it is if your inners and your outers give you the same number, only opposites, right? Like this gives me 28x, this gives me negative 28x, and so they cancel out. So that's important to know. The only way to break things up like this to get 0 is if you're using the same numbers that you break it up. All right. If you are struggling at all, make sure you are looking for help from someone. Good luck.